Are income taxes unconstitutional or illegal? The United States income tax is legal tax, and if you meet certain requirements, you must pay income taxes. The legality of the income tax code has been upheld in court, time and time again. But many people still try to avoid paying taxes based on what the IRS calls frivolous tax arguments. Many of these are misinterpretations of laws or of the Constitution. Here are some examples of frivolous tax arguments, all of which have been argued in court and have been struck down. Taxation is taking property, so it is a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Supporters of this claim assert that tax collection is taking of property without the due process of law, which is unconstitutional. They cite the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, which states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Why it's frivolous. While the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution does protect against unlawful seizure of property, the Constitution itself grants the federal government the power to tax. Having the Fifth Amendment prohibit taxation would create a contradiction. Therefore, taxation is not considered a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Brush up the Union Pact are upheld this. In addition, the Supreme Court has upheld the constitutionality of the Internal Revenue Code in Phillips v. Commissioner in 1931. Filing an income tax return is voluntary. Some people claim that filing an income tax is voluntary because, according to their interpretation, the IRS said so itself. They rely on the fact that the 1040 form instructions say that filling out the form is voluntary. In addition, they state that the 1960 Supreme Court case Florida v. United States stated that our system of taxation is based upon voluntary assessment and payment, not upon distrint. Why it's incorrect? It is true that both the Supreme Court case and the IRS instruction manual use the word voluntary. However, this is used in reference to the ability of the taxpayer to calculate and file the appropriate returns instead of having the federal government determine the returns from the start. There is no mention of the income tax return being voluntary anywhere in the IRS tax code. How about this one? Taxation is slavery, and this a violation of the 13th Amendment. As mentioned before, taxation is compulsory, not voluntary. Some people claim that compulsory taxation is a form of slavery, and this illegal. They cite the 13th Amendment, which outlawed slavery in the United States. Note that will not work either. The 13th Amendment does protect all people in the United States from any form of involuntary servitude or slavery, unless it's done as a punishment for a crime. However, the courts have repeatedly ruled that taxation does not qualify as involuntary servitude or slavery as banned by the 13th Amendment. One might try and argue that the Federal Reserve notes are not income. People who advance this argument claim that Federal Reserve notes are not a real currency because they cannot be exchanged to gold or silver. They bring up Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, which grants the federal government the exclusive power to create and regulate money. More specifically, they claim that Section 10 limits all legal currency exclusively to gold and silver. Why this is wrong. Article 1, Section 10 does grant exclusive power to Congress and the federal government to create and regulate money, including gold and silver, but there is no explicit or implicit limitation on declaring another form of legal tender. Therefore, Federal Reserve notes are considered income because they are a form of legal tender. Numerous court cases have upheld this notion, including United States v. Refund. The IRS has addressed many of these arguments, and the courts have always ruled against those who attempted to use them to avoid paying taxes, in order to deter others from repeatedly bringing them up in court. Sorry mate, there is not a way around death and taxes.